Oh, I think I'm on again. You could ride the motorcycle and take video. It doesn't work that well, but you can do that, going slow just to see the nice view. I went to, this is like a little update today. I went to see uh, the homeless guys, and I could have done a little talk with some of them. It's too windy right by the water, so hopefully you can hear me back here a little bit. That's my daughter's dog, Bree. But as I was leaving, there were two donkeys in the field. And I don't normally see them there where I parked my motorcycle. And I was going to make some comments. I tried to do it on the other ones, but the verses I'm going to actually teach tomorrow from the Catholic Mass are, Jesus, your King, comes to you lowly, riding upon an ass, the colt, the foal of an ass. I think that's Zechariah 9:9. And it talks about Christ coming into Jerusalem, the beginning of Passion Week. And I just thought it was interesting because I saw those two donkeys. And that's what we'll discuss on the teaching post tomorrow. And I saw a couple of friends, and things that upset me are, it's not always, I talk with a lot of friends and a lot of people, and sometimes a lot of my friends, or one, when they speak about I should shoot a person, or I should go put a bullet in this person's head, or I should if I was, and then you have somewhat of a history of having done that. All of that concerns me because sometimes people have cases and they're considered, there wasn't enough whatever evidence or whatever. But you would hope if those incidents happened twice to people who lost their lives, that you would learn not to talk that way, not to say that. And then knowing of other cases where a gun was pulled on a friend of mine because he was there one day, he thought maybe somebody was, over a period of time, and people have gun license, they're legal to carry, and if they walk around with guns, and they had somewhat of a history of some of my friends on the street, the last few weeks, some of them got into actual fistfights with other people. And that does take place on the street. And the guys, I've been there when things happen. But if somebody has a personality, I'm aggressive in my personality on the street. And I wouldn't carry a gun with me, and I don't. But if somebody has a personality where at times they've grabbed other people or instigated or said things, yelled things at people, and they have a gun. Sometimes other people, like my friends on the street, if you grab one of those guys or you say something, they're going to grab back, some of them, or they're going to defend themselves. I do that. But if you're not the type of a person that's willing, we'll fight, we'll punch or whatever, but if you carry a weapon and people that are not used to others antagonizing them, and the normal thing is, let's get it on, and you kill them, that's problematic to me. That's problematic. And that's sort of like what I was dealing with somewhat, which makes me uncomfortable. If some of that interaction from certain people then are being kind of like seeing my daughter with an animal, and then let's call whatever, because I cannot say anything if I'm going home or if I'm think somebody, and if people yell things across the street and they had that weapon and they're antagonistic, then for that to kind of now be there with my daughter or her boyfriend. I've had someone grab somebody once, a younger person, and that kid hit him. The person said, if I had my gun, I would have blew his head off. And I listened to a lot of those statements. And at times when I'm dealing with different friends, they normally don't talk that way. But if you have that image of bravado and you're known to shoot people, I don't like that around my kids. I don't like that around my kids. I've had multiple times over the years, and I don't antagonize. I mean, I've sat in a couple of places where I could tell, oh, so-and-so, whoever, and I just be quiet. And then if they want to do something, they want to get in a fight, I'll do it. But I don't say, hey, just people, hey, or grab people. And if you do that to another person, you grab a person in the street, most of them are going to hit back. But if you're not a fighter and you shoot them and kill them, and there's a history of that, then certain people shouldn't be carrying that weapon anymore. And that's some of what you see me being upset about. Some of what you see me, and when people tell me multiple times, I should have shot this person, I should have killed this person, I should have blew this person's head off, talking like that all the time. Now I don't take those threats that person makes to the other people he's discussing with me. But when you've done it twice, then there's a problem. Then there has to be some type of we're dealing in this country with the tragic shootings, the Austin bombers, as a matter of fact, we're not really sure. Well, when you're dealing with, and I understand instability that people have, but when you have that instability, maybe mental issues and all, and still permits to carry a weapon and walk around the block with a gun on you, with a personality where you tell people, you mouth off to people walking in front of their homes, and then that person, you said something to them, and then they came up to you and you killed them, then if there's nothing done about that in the legal system, then you have to make sure that person is still not walking around with that gun. After telling people multiple times, I'm going to kill this one, I'm going to shoot this one, I'm going to blow this one's head off. All of that language is wrong. So that's what I was dealing with today. And some people are like, oh, you overblow it. Look, I don't have a lot. George, when I was talking to George the other day, he started crying. We were hanging out. His father just passed away recently. But one of his brothers died in prison. I didn't remember if he had told me that. And he was crying a little bit. Because he said, I was starting to miss my dad. His father just passed away. And that family, I guess they've had some problems with the law. George did some prison time and all. But my friends, they're not walking around with guns. They just don't do it. And if altercations take place and they get fights happen, but if one of them had a gun and then he was with that gun and also mouthing off to the other guys, and the other guy comes up and hits him and then you kill that person, then there has to either be a change of the way we allow people to have weapons, or just because they're going to do it again because of the personality, telling people, yelling at them, and that antagonizes other people to then want to respond, and then you kill those people. That's problematic. That's some of what I'm dealing with in this situation that you heard me discuss today. And when people talk to me, and I try to help people, I talked to them for long periods of time over, years. And all that language, multiple times. This one, or a problem with a homeless guy that did something downtown. If I can find him, I'll blow his head off. Okay. And the problem with another person, I'll shoot that guy, I'll blow his head. You can't talk that way anymore. If that's been a history of actually doing that multiple times. So that was a little bit. My friend, Brother Dave, he was Ray, my daughter's dog. Come on. Because the guys got in a fight last week at the feeding ministry, Brother Dave was sort of, to show them that we're not going to allow this to happen. He said, for the next week or so, I will not be feeding. Well, another lady, sometimes they call her the soup lady, she brought food. I got there late, I don't eat anyway, but I just wanted to see who was around. And that upset Dave, because I understand Dave's point of view. But he told me he was very upset. He said, because the idea is I didn't feed this particular Saturday, so the guys would learn not to do all that. And somebody else stepped in. And so I talked to Dave a little bit. I saw my friend Bob Coleman. Bob Coleman's an older man. And I used to have some talks with Bob. He might be in a video too. And he doesn't have his truck anymore, but he was up there. And sure enough, he asked if I could give him a ride. I said, Bob, I'm on the motorcycle today. And Albert, he was out of town for 2 weeks in Port Aransas. Because one of our other friends that you see, homeless friend Casanova, sometimes he goes there for like a couple months to get out of Flower Bluff. That's Port Aransas. It's a little town, 30 miles, not even from where we're at. And so he just made it back, and I was kidding Albert a little bit. I forget what I was telling him. But yeah, so to me, there are personalities that people have. And I know I'm abrasive, and maybe that's part of because I'm on the street all the time. But if you have a personality where you're really not, like that on the street and used to, but yet you provoke others, and you really yourself don't fight, but you provoke them. You say things, you yell things, and then people have responded, and then they were shocked. That's a whole different mindset to me. That's a whole different mindset. If one of the street guys says something or somebody don't know me, and I'll let it slide, and then, okay, all right, let's do it. Let's get in the fight. That's different because that's sort of, that's the way it is on the street. But this whole other dynamic is not good at all. Because some people that are not used to being on the street, they try to carry that persona but they don't have that, which is fine. But then you don't go around provoking people. And then people, if you grab another person, you actually grab them. And that person hits you. You don't then go shoot that person. Because that personality brings that out in these other people. And to still have that gun walking around, walk up to the house the other day with the gun, with that personality, that's just not good. That's just not good. And that's a severe problem. So some of my friends need help, medical help. They need mental issue help. But if you had multiple instances where you took the lives of various people, and with that personality, you should not have a license to carry. You should not be possessing a weapon. That's just common sense. Some people are upset because I see it in that manner. I said, no, this is a whole another thing. I don't want any interactions with my kids or the boyfriend, because that's the way that person might be. Like yelling, saying something, grabbing you, and then people, you're grabbing me, you come up to me, and if a person hits you, and then you kill them, okay, no more gun. No, and that's the personality. I don't like that in my neighborhood. So I'll just tell you straight out. Because I talk to people over periods of time, and they continually, in many, many instances, say I should blow this one's head off, I should shoot this one, I would. Now, whether they're doing that out of bravado, with the history like that, there's a problem.